that's the end. Okay, flow drill number 1. Person on top starts in side control. Their left arm is underneath the neck, sliding in with the thumb deep inside the lapel, gripping tight. They're in a push-up position on the person's chest, with the weight on the person's chest, and their right hand posted down next to the person's hip. The person on bottom has their knees up. They are going to push their forearm against the person, my right forearm against the person's hip. They're going to take their hand, left hand palm down, and slide it underneath the person's arm. With their left foot, they're going to shrimp away and push their arms into the opponent. This is a partial shrimp escape. The person on top then throws their right arm over, shifts their right leg forward, and comes up in a scarf hold. The person on bottom grabs with their right hand up by the shoulder. The left hand's going to come down and grab the belt. The person on bottom is going to shift their hips close and underneath, one hip underneath the opponent, and then pull with the arms and bridge with the feet, pulling the person over. As the person comes over, I'm going to take my right hand, place it palm down on the mat. I'm going to shift my right knee up toward the person's head. I'm going to take my left arm, shoot it through and around, grabbing the person's gi and pinning it underneath my arm. This is modified Kesa-gatame, modified scarf hold, because my hand is underneath the shoulder rather than around his neck. The person on bottom then defends and pushes on the head. The person on top throws his left elbow over the person's head, placing it on the mat, rotating the hips opposite, away from the opponent. So my left hip is against the person's, my left knee is against the person's right hip. Place my hand on the knee, right hand on the knee, throw the right leg over, come up to a mount position, slide my right hand in the person's lapel as they grab the bottom of the sleeve or the wrist inside the lapel high. They lock the foot in so that I can't step out, and then they do a shoulder bridge and pull the person forward so that they fall, reversing positions. As soon as the person's on his back, he closes the guard, and the person on top postures up. And that's the end of flow drill number 1. Flow drill number 1 from different views. The person on top is in side control. Their weight is pressing on my chest. They are in a push-up position with their feet. Their left hand is underneath the neck, all the way across underneath the neck, grabbing inside the lapel of the person on bottom with their thumb and gripping the gi. Their right hand is posted flat on the mat next to the person's hip so that they can't move. Okay, that's side control. Person on bottom, anytime you're on bottom, your knees are always up, never flat. Person on bottom takes their right arm using their elbow and their forearm to push on the person's hip. They take their left hand, and in order to get space to shoot the hand underneath, they shoot a palm down. They bump the person so they can get their hand underneath the arm. They're going to use their left foot, push their hips away as they're pushing with their arms. This is partial shrimp escape. The person on top throws the right arm all the way around the neck. They shift their right knee all the way forward toward the person's head. And they trap the person's arm underneath their arm. This is scarf hold, Kesa-gatame. Arm is pinned underneath their arm. This is all the way wrapped underneath the neck. He can grab the gi. He can be inside with the thumb, or he can grab the whole thing, the whole gi. His feet are out at an angle so that I can't come into him this way, and if I move, he follows me. Person on bottom, in order to do a hug and roll escape, hugs with this top right hand on the shoulder since the arm's pinned. Takes the left hand and grabs the person's belt. The person on bottom then shifts his closest hip as close as he can get to the other person. Then he's going to bridge with his feet and pull with his hands, pulling the person over. As he comes over, he's going to lay his right hand palm down. At this point, he's going to take his right knee and slide the right knee forward toward the person's head. He's going to take his left hand, shoot it inside the person's arm, extend it all the way forward, and then wrap, pinning the person's arm underneath their elbow. He can grab here and have this hand flat. This is modified Kesa-gatame. The person on bottom then tries to escape by pushing on the person's head. The person on top is going to take their left elbow, reach over the person's head, place it on the mat. Then he's going to shift his hips opposite of the direction they're facing now. His left knee is against the person's hip. The hip is up by the person's head. This hand is flat on the mat. I'm going to take my hand here to push on the knee so that he doesn't lift trying to block me. So I push, I throw the leg over, and then as I come up, I'm going to grab with my right hand across the person's face inside the lapel. The person on bottom grabs that hand or the sleeve if there's a gi down there, and inside high into the gi. He locks the foot in place so that he traps the foot. Then he's going to pull toward his left shoulder as he bridges with his hips. As soon as the person's on his back again, he closes his guard, and then this person sits up. And that's the end of flow drill number 1. Flow drill number 2. We just ended with the person in the guard. Person on bottom grabs the sleeve with the left hand, grabs the sleeve or the wrist of the person on the top, bringing it across to my right side. Take the right hand, I slide high inside the collar. So both hands are grabbing on the right side of the opponent. I drop my feet down to the mat. I'm going to push my hip toward the right as I drop my left knee on its side. I bring my right knee across the person's belly with my foot hooking on the hip. I pull the person's weight forward, and then in a scissors motion, I cross my legs and follow the person, so I'm now in the mounted position. The person on bottom now uses his elbow to push my knee down, and then his hand further turning to his side so he can pull his leg out. As soon as he pulls his leg out, he wraps it around mine. Then he does the same with the opposite side. Starts elbow to knee, pushes the knee further away, turns to his side, pulls his leg out, then he closes the guard, and then the person on top postures up. This is the end of flow drill 2. This is an alternate for flow drill number 2. You can either do the scissor sweep like we just did, or this is called the helicopter. Beginning positions are the same. Left hand grabbing their right sleeve or arm, sliding the right hand up into the lapel. This is where it starts. I'm pulling the person forward, and they're starting to try to pull away. As they pull away, I'm going to shoot my right hand palm toward my hip, underneath their leg, and around, hooking their knee. At the same time, I rotate my shoulder toward that knee. My legs swing open, and then cross. I drop my left knee down, and my right foot basically moves like it's trying to kick him in his head. I follow up. I am now in the mounted position. The person on bottom does the elbow knee escape again, pressing with his elbow, then his hand, turning his body sideways, pulling the leg out and locking it in, and then doing the same. Elbow, push, pull the leg out, then he closes guard. Person on top postures up again. And that's the end of the alternate flow drill number 2. Okay. Flow drill number 3. Person on top is reaching in with his right hand. The person on bottom grabs with his left hand, grabbing the person's wrist or the bottom of their gi. Slides his right hand in deep on the opposite lapel, pulls the person toward them with their knees, and then reaches across with his left hand and grabs the shoulder, beginning a cross lapel choke. The person on top, in order to defend the choke, releases his right arm, pushes on the elbow, the left elbow of the opponent on bottom, taking pressure off the choke, then brings his left hand to the right hand underneath and presses down as he postures up, escaping the grip. He takes his right hand, grabs a handful of gi material at the top of the person's pants, places his right elbow inside the knee of the opponent, takes his left hand, starts shaking on the person's leg until the guard is broken open. As soon as it's open, he grabs gi material inside the knee of the person and presses it down into the mat like in a punching fashion. Slides his right hand down, again grabbing the pants inside the gi and basically going into a push-up position, holding the person's pants to the ground. Walks himself around, slides his left shoulder in and up the person until he grabs with his left hand under the person's neck, right hand against the person's hip, and he is now in side control. The person on bottom shoots their arm underneath the person's arm and drives their right knee toward the person, and then keeps moving in until he can hook one leg and then lock it in with the other. This is now half guard. The person on the top brings their right hand out, their left hand elbow over the person, right next to their head. He's going to shift, the person on top is going to shift their left knee underneath. So again, the left knee is down by the person's hip, the elbow's over the